Hello and welcome to the Upper Deck from Pinstripe Chronicles. I'm Chris, this is Lynn, and we are ready to get the Yankee conversation going this morning. Lynn, how about your take on what we've just seen this week?
So since we said goodbye last Sunday, Chris, we knew we were walking into the remainder of the series with the Astros. Last Sunday, was a cry fest. We knew that we were going to be at best splitting, and that was our big hope, and we got what we wanted. We split the series. But what was really clear is, Houston is, the Astros are the new Red Sox.
Right.
And we're likely to be seeing them later on in the season.
Oh, yeah.
And when we need to win the absolute most, and that's not going to be easy.
Right.
And so from there we faced we went back to moving away from them, we went to the A's, and that was much better because we took care of them in short order, and that was a sweep. And so we felt we were feeling good about that until we had to face the Astros one more time for one game. Like, why? I guess I'm assuming there was a rainout I don't remember about, but and we lost, and so all the more there's like that bad taste in our mouths. About that.
Yeah.
But then moving on to where we're in the middle of, or just about ready to finish up, and I mean finish up, is this series with the Cleveland Guardians. And so rain out Friday night, and then doubleheader yesterday. And so I shouldn't say we. I had some concerns like, oh boy, poor Cole. This is a heck of a delay. This isn't just somebody going along with the national anthem before. What is this going to look like? So I guess it would be good to start with Yankee pitching from one, and starting with Cole, and then go through the pitching order as it went through the game, and then
As you know, I didn't see the games yesterday. I've just been, picking up the highlights.
Yes.
How was Cole?
So Cole, unfortunately, in the first inning, did what you never want to see him do. He gave up 2 back-to-back homers.
Are you kidding me?
It might have been the second inning.
Okay. If it was the first inning, I would have been up out of my seat.
So, yeah, but let's suffice to say, early enough in the game that, you have that thought in your head of, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Is this going to be it, like, for the rest of the game? He definitely had difficulties with his location, which has sort of been a running theme of late for him. And he needed to figure out which tools to throw out of his tool bag. The cutter just was not working out for him.
Yeah.
And so I think that in between innings, there was some talking with Blake and with Trevino, and so really didn't see a cutter again. And then he got himself together and had a stellar through 6.
Okay.
Really held the Guardians down.
Right.
And 6 solid from him, I think, is what we would generally expect. Although he's gone into the 7th lately.
Okay.
But given the start and the number of pitches, because the Guardians aren't a home run hitting team.
Right.
But they're really good at sweating the pitchers, getting on base. And so, I think the pitch count was the concern with him.
Yeah. Now, who did he give? Do you recall, did he give up a home run to J Ramirez by any chance?
He gave up the first home run to Naylor.
Okay.
And the second to J Ram.
It's funny. I've been hearing the name Naylor as one of the possible trade targets that maybe the Yankees could be interested in, not from any like Heyman or anybody, but just fans talking about, what they would like to see. That's kind of interesting.
Well, he's a beast. At least in recent viewing, I don't know anything about his record overall.
Yeah.
But he's been a problem. And great on defense as well.
Right.
So those were the two troublemakers, so to speak. And then the bullpen got a bit of a stretch after they took Cole out.
Okay.
And so I believe it was trying to remember the sequence of it. You give me a second, I'll give you the flow of the bullpen.
Meanwhile, while you look that up, Cole, his ERA is still under 3. It's 2.99. He's 7-2. He's got a 1.01 WHIP, 117 strikeouts. Nothing to worry about there.
Nothing to worry about there whatsoever.
Right.
There's not much to worry about with the pitching.
Nope.
And so I think that I'm going to skip over the
yeah. That's fine.
I hate when I lose my notes when I know exactly where they are when we start the show.
Oh, I know. Well, maybe your memory will be jogged as we talk about the bullpen in general.
Yes.
We've got Ron Marinocchio out now with right shoulder inflammation, and he had been doing a bang-up job. So that's kind of a blow. But as you reminded me when we were setting out, Herman is on the way back. And Marinoccio's only out on the 15-day IL at the moment. So unless we hear something more serious, then I'm going to assume that, hopefully he'll be back after the All-Star break sort of thing.
Yeah.
And nice and rested for the run,
Yeah. And he's young. And so that also helps with the healing. I don't think it's going to be a big issue there.
I don't either.
It was barely, I even frankly missed what happened there when he came off the bump. I do want to make a quick correction in that it was Rays, not J-Ram, who.
Okay. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, it was one of those art killers from.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about Chapman as well because there was so much speculation, and Chapman is one of those polarizing figures among fans because there are the diehard Chappie fans, and they are convinced that he is the second coming of he's not. That's for sure. And Mariano, I could not even think of the name for a second.
Right.
And my brain was like a total blank. Anyway, he's not. And we definitely have our closer in Clay Holmes this season. And when Chapman came in yesterday, at least I saw and heard from the folks on Twitter that was unpleasant.
Unpleasant is like a kind Sunday word.
Yeah.
To be fair, although he tanked and was definitely not what you want to see,
right?
He was tanked and yanked. But we gotta consider two things. Not that we have to, but it's kindness Sunday. First of all, it's his first, time on the bump after being out.
Exactly.
Everybody gets a tiny bit of a pass for that.
Right.
And I think it was very smart to put him in the seventh,
Oh, yeah.
a very low leverage situation. But even still, it was as if what we see when he's closing.
Right.
And I also think that knowing what we know about Chapman, not that I've spoken to him recently, he gets in his head and he gets mad. And not just mad at himself. It's like mad at the world. But it had to have been, I think, don't you think that it had to have been hard for him to be brought in the seventh?
I do.
Knowing that he walked in essentially like with the pretty implicit, if not explicit message that he's not the closer now,
Right.
if ever again.
I think that it definitely was a prove it moment. And I think he's going to have prove it moments until he actually rights the ship. And that's if he can right the ship.
Right.
He's not been, when's the last time he was right? I don't recall, like last season was he right toward the end of the year? I mean, do you recall that? I don't.
I remember the opposite.
I remember the opposite
too. As the season went on yesterday.
Yeah. Yes.
And here's an interesting stat from New York Yankees stats. So here's what they say. Aroldis Chapman, April 14th of this year, 3 base on balls, 0 outs. Today, that was July 2nd, 0 outs today, 3 base on balls. So it doesn't take a statistician to get that comparison. Now, does that say that there wasn't anything good in between? No, but it does say, it does call out what we've all been basically saying. He doesn't have the stuff right now. And he hasn't had it, frankly, for a season and a half at this point.
Yeah, and one of the tweets that I can refer to that I was talking about with the Chappie fans, Nick at Nick Villalonga, he said, "I know we all hate Chapman," which I don't hate Chapman. "I know we all hate Chapman, and we all know Holmes is way better, but Chapman is lights out when he's right, and he could be big reinforcement for the bullpen." All true, but he's not been right. That was what my immediate thought was. When was the last time he was right?
That's right.
So.
Yeah, and then there's the ego factor that we all know about him. Even some of the broadcasters have referred to it, and he's going to have to learn really quickly how to be a team player.
Right.
He's going to have to be open to being part of the stacking of the pitchers.
Oh yeah.
Especially as the season goes on, when that becomes more and more necessary.
Yeah.
And so I know that this was brand new for him yesterday, but it's an attitude adjustment that hopefully Matt Blake could work out with him.
Yeah. It's an adjustment I think he's going to have to make to survive.
Yes.
At this point.
Yes, if he wants to survive and if he wants any value.
Right.
Should he be on the block for a trade?
I agree. Chapman is again at a prove it point.
Yeah.
So, and another, speaking of adjustments, another player who's having a little bit of trouble right now, struggling a bit, is Aaron Judge. And it's his numbers, and I don't know what I did with them at the moment. You and I seem to be having the same problem today. Oh, wait, here they are. I found them. I was curious. I was telling Lynn before we started, since I didn't see the game yesterday, I was curious what Judge's average was at now. And I was surprised when I looked at MLB.com to see that in the last 7 days, he's batted 154, 2 home runs, 6 RBI, so the power. Last 15 days, 158 with 4 home runs, 10 RBIs. And in the last 30 days, 250, 11 home runs, 21 RBIs. So he's not hit over 300 since the beginning of June.
Right.
Essentially.
Right. So we're not, that's not common for Judge 2022. Right.
Yeah.
I think that, and when you think about where he is in MLB standings on home runs alone,
right,
and the fact that he is confirmed already for starting in the All-Star game,
yeah,
that speaks to his overall performance and success. And look, he's also just any other player. As much as he's our MVP and our star, he's human. He's
yep.
any other athlete, and he's gonna slag a bit, and so he's in a bit of a valley. But at the same time, he's still contributing. He's nobody wants to rely on base on balls percentages.
Right.
But, he's been getting on base. He's been aggressive on the base.
Yeah.
He made a running error yesterday, but
Did he?
Was on base.
Yeah.
And so I don't think we're concerned. And certainly the fan base on Twitter hasn't said a peep about it.
No, as I said, it was just my curiosity that I noticed it. And when I put something on Facebook to ask people what they thought, they were surprised too that was the case. And almost to a person said that it was just, a slump, just something short that he's going through. I think too, there's something to be said that Judge maybe, the pitchers are adjusting to Judge a little bit. After all, they've got film too. And Judge has now, almost a half a season of at-bats for them to evaluate and analyze. So this has been a tough stretch, right? We've been through Houston, the Rays. Just these are numbers that I think are totally reasonable for us to see Judge at this point in the season having. But I can see in the second half Judge making some adjustments because pitchers I think they're on to him, so to speak. They're definitely, as always, pitching him low to strike him out. We always know that element not going to change.
Right.
But as far as what he'll swing at these days and where he's looking and what he's looking for, I think that he maybe needs to see what they see.
100%. And the pitching was on point for the Guardians yesterday. And so that's never good when you're facing what seems to be the Guardians' best.
Right.
But there's an interesting stat I came across or heard actually from Roku yesterday. Roku, I never quite know how to say his name. Which, by the way, he and O'Neill have been doing great in the booth together.
I love Roku. I think he's great.
Thank you for pronouncing it for me.
Yeah, I don't know.
And what I loved about it, we go off topic like we do, but it's related. Paulie has so much more of a voice with Ruko.
True.
Than he does with Kay and Coney. With Kay and Coney, he's more turned to for what do you think, Paul, or whatever. This duo, I was glad to hear kind of what Mabin does when he sits in the booth is, but without all the stories, but getting right to the analysis and connecting it to his experience in some way, but also just some facts that tie into the overall analysis.
Right.
It's really good to watch.
Yeah. I definitely appreciate those two, both of them.
Yeah.
And although I didn't see the broadcast yesterday, I can imagine what you're saying is true because, of course, Michael Kay is such a dominating force,
Right.
in the booth.
Right.
So, and Coney as well. Yeah. So
yeah.
I love Paul O'Neill in the booth.
Right. Yeah. I loved him in the booth in this dynamic.
Yeah.
For sure. But so the connection back is Ruocco also, when it comes to Judge and what we were just talking about, and his compadres, Stanton and Rizzo. So he said that Rizzo, Stanton, and Judge are the sixth trio in baseball history, which to me says not MLB history, baseball history, to hit 20 or more home runs in the first 79 games of the season.
Amazing. I mean, that just blows my mind.
Yeah. So let's keep in mind that that means really no worries when any of them come up dry. Right. We got a great home run out of Stanton yesterday. Rizzo's been popping them out like crazy, but slumps are going to happen. The stats on Stanton, I would venture, I didn't check them before we came on, are a little bit lower comparatively.
Yeah.
But he, there's nothing to worry about. And if there is a bit of a lowering there, it's so minute that you wouldn't even be able to swat it.
Yeah.
Way. So, but that's an outstanding stat. That's a remarkable stat.
Yes.
And so these three are, I'm not going to say the core, because we talked about that before.
Yes.
But these three, first of all, they are, they're a huge part of the engine driving the others. Yes. And if this rate goes on, maybe they'll be moving up to fifth or fourth trio at the rate that they're going, and the projected rates expected. So I just wanted to share it because when I hear those historical kind of connections,
yes,
and bringing it to who we are today, it's sort of breathe and say, okay, we're fine. And really believe it. So, and I love that they are where they're connected in the order, the batting order.
Yes.
Which also helps.
I mean, let's face it, the Yankees are so much fun right now. They're setting records. They're, making history. This team is, despite what I pointed out about Judge, despite Chapman's problems, despite perhaps Rizzo hitting like in the 220s, the high 220s, this team is winning and at an extraordinary rate. They are, what are the stats? We are 58 and 21 we're at a 734 winning percentage.
Yeah.
14 games up over the Blue Jays. 14 games up. I love it.
And even with how well the Red Sox have been doing, they're still 11 and a half behind us. So it's comfortable, but we can't get comfortable.
Yeah.
And
you mean the Red Sox are 11 and a half behind us?
When I checked last night.
I thought I checked this morning and maybe I have an old number. Because I thought that that we were up 14 games over the Blue Jays and 14.5 over the Red Sox.
Okay, well, I refreshed the screen before I checked, but...
Yeah, I bet you I got old numbers.
Still in all, even if it is just 11.5, 11 and a half.
Right.
It's comfortable. This is
comfortably.
I won't get comfortable. I haven't had to say the complacent word at all this season. I don't expect to have to.
Yep.
And so after the All-Star break is going to be the real tell.
Yep.
And so as we get closer to playoffs.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it be nice to just secure that berth,
Yeah.
and skip wild card altogether for a change?
Yeah.
And I think we're on the path for that.
PJ Yankees fan 1950 posted what the seeding would be if the playoffs would start today. And the Yankees, Astros, Twins, and then the Jays would have the first wild card, Red Sox the second wild card, and the Rays the third wild card. That is 4 teams from the AL East in the playoffs.
Wow.
Is this a tough division, or is this a tough division?
This is, by the way, the toughest division
in baseball.
Yeah, in baseball. Second only to the Western Division.
You think so?
Yeah, statistically, I think so.
Okay.
The Central Division, I don't think any team is playing 500 right now.
Okay. Well, yeah.
So, and that's including Houston. So, but yeah, by far, this division, if you could make it out of here, with avoiding the wild card, that's another huge feather.
If you can win this division.
Yeah.
That's definitely the goal, the most immediate goal, I realize. And
yes.
What do you envision, if anything, toward the deadline, moves that might make that more possible than others?
So,
do you see anything in the offing trade-wise, or?
I think that the time has come for a serious discussion about Gallo.
Yes.
Gallo's average has been hovering around 100.
Yeah.
I want to say for almost the month of June, if not the month of June. And it's harder to defend his defense.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Yes.
Because you do need both. And
yeah,
Golden Glove, outfielder or not, he's just not. I've heard it so much, it's ubiquitous, but
yeah,
some players just aren't built for New York.
That's true.
Sanchez,
absolutely,
as it turns out, wasn't built for New York.
Right.
Frazier wasn't built for New York.
Yeah.
And I just think that's the case here. It's not a match.
Yep, it's not.
And I think that also for his sake, plant him in, in the Midwest, or, even in the West, where he could do better.
Yeah.
With a smaller organization and less,
right.
At lower expectations.
On the other hand, another player who you would have never expected to have success is blowing up the place. I'm talking about Carpenter. He is having so much fun being a Yankee. I heard him say, or I saw a quote where he said that every time he puts on the Yankee uniform, he feels like a kid again.
And that's clear, and that's coming from a veteran of the game.
Yeah.
He really is, I think even among the team, the most veteran of the game.
Yeah.
And 2 home runs yesterday. From what I think now he's being called Matty Mustache on Twitter. Which I like. I was calling him the mustache.
I like that. Matty Mustache.
I like Matty Mustache. It's cute. I see it on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
He's also one of those guys that could be a utility filler too.
I think so.
He played first base for Rizzo in Game 1.
Right.
And
I think he's a first baseman anyway.
Right. But I believe we've seen him elsewhere. I think we might have seen him at second at some point.
Yeah. If only we could see him out in the field, if he was only an outfielder right now, that would solve something.
Maybe he is.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, but Yeah, there were absolutely no issues at first yesterday. It was the he played the complete game instead of being the guy brought in.
Right.
And so I just really hope we see more of him. Clearly not at first. No one's looking to
No,
do a Voight Rizzo thing again.
no, God forbid.
New. And so, but we have to find a spot for him. Um, and that also brings up another player because currently we have Andujar up as our 27th man.
Right.
And it was interesting yesterday that he and Hicks were both in the lineup. That was awkward.
Yeah, that's awkward.
And so it was sort of like a home run derby, but in a Guardians game. And Andujar was on point, and his bat was going, his defense was going, and it was the good Andujar.
Yeah.
And it was the Andujar of 2019, and the runner-up Rookie of the Year 2018 that I saw yesterday.
Oh, absolutely.
And yet Hicks has been, yesterday could have been a one-day wonder for Andujar. You have Hicks, who has really been showing his stuff for a bit now.
Yes.
And did again yesterday. With Hicks and Andujar both had two crucial clutch hits.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
And so if that continues, and if we keep bringing Andujar up as the 27th, that's going to have to be a choice at some point.
Right. And that's a good problem to have.
It's a great problem to have, but there's still problems that have to be solved.
Yeah.
In the outfield. If they trade Gallo, maybe we get both.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a timing issue.
That's right. Well, I know you have a trivia question.
I do, but one quick shout out for our boy DJ Leslehu.
Oh, absolutely.
So he has been heating up like nobody's business, and an interesting stat from Gabe at Playoff Tanaka. DJ has 6 defensive runs saved between the 3 position he plays.
Right.
And he's in the 96th percentile on outs above average.
Yeah.
And he's been a fantastic defender for the season.
Yeah. My opinion is he's the glue. I think he's the glue in that infield. Wherever he is, he makes it, he works.
Yep, 100%. And speaking of utility guys, that's the utility guy.
There's the par excellence. Yeah.
But yes, it is Trivia of the Week time. And this time it's more Yankee history trivia. So here's the question of the week. 3 MLB players hold the record for most consecutive games with a home run, that total being 8 home runs. 2 of the players are Seattle's Ken Griffey Jr. and Pittsburgh's Dale Long.
Oh.
I knew you'd like that, Chris.
Wow.
Name the Yankee who also holds the record. So who's the Yankee that holds the record among 3 MLB players for most consecutive games with a home run for a total of 8?
Oh, right. That is I'm stumped for the moment. And no Googling if you come up with it.
Scout's honor.
Yep, absolutely.
And so don't phone a friend. Don't Google.
Use your brain matter, the gray matter.
That's right.
Hey, thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. We live for those comments, and also any feedback you can give us that we would appreciate.
And as always, you can find us next Sunday right here, and your reserved seat will be waiting for you right here on the upper deck.
All right, go Yankees.